3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from Riprock in Denton, Texas, it's the Open Bar Review. I'm apparently sitting with Kaepernick Paul Wedding. With me, as always, is Leopold Knopp, and this week we have a special guest, Miss Rhiannon Saegert, who will be discussing with us the Blair Witch. Knopp, tell us all about it.
Blair Witch is an official sequel to the 1999 classic, The Blair Witch Project. It's got pretty much the same plot. It stars the younger brother of the main character from the first movie, and they've got some black friends, and they bring them to the edge of the woods and meet some racist friends, which is one of many plot lines in this movie that goes absolutely nowhere.
I really like the first one, but what's so great about it is that they sold it as actually having these people, and you kind of buy it. Just because it is improvised, and it is kind of like, it does all look like they're kind of like, oh shit, I have to pick this bag up now. And they really were breaking down their equipment every night. They were on their own. This movie has shit where, like, a girl gets scared and then, like, hops into the guy's tent and is like, oh god, what was that? And, like, the camera is angled so you can, like, see down her top. Which is white noise in an average horror movie, like in a conventional horror movie, but shouldn't happen in, you know, our nitty-gritty found footage film.
It felt like they took the concept and added as many cliches as they could think of.
Yeah, it's like 75% everything that has been, like, you know, modern horror, post-paranormal activity, and then like 25% stick figures and rocks. This movie should have been shot like a conventional horror film. Yeah. Because for all intents and purposes, it is a conventional horror film with some stick figures like stapled onto it.
There are so many fucking cameras.
So many.
It may as well be conventionally shot with the amount of angles they're switching between.
And like, it's all edited and...
It doesn't feel like something like the government or some agency put together. It feels like an actual film.
Somebody made it a feature.
The Blair Witch Project, the original, was so ahead of its time. The reason far fewer found footage movies endure is because the really, really good ones could ostensibly be found footage. I don't even know how they found any of these cameras.
Yeah.
Let alone cut them all together. This is what ruined it for me, was not even the first shot, it was before the first shot. They had the Lionsgate credit, and I was like, aren't these movies supposed to, like, pretend?
What killed it for me, honestly, more than the weak sauce scares and all of that, is the fact that they feel the need to explain things that just kind of retroactively make the first one lame. They try to take little bits of the, you know, the lore from the first movie and turn it into like an MO for this bitch.
Yeah.
And then they go and tell you, cut all the ambiguity, the Blair Witch is real. They fucking, like, they show this bitch. The Blair Witch is given a concrete backstory in this movie, which I disagree with on principle. But what I hate more about this is that it is lifted directly from a no-budget horror series on YouTube known as Marble Hornets, the Slender Man series from 2010. It's almost word for word, and they just apply it to Blair Witch and change like 2 details. It is painful. There's no, are they just going crazy? There's no ambiguity. No. They do that for like 10 minutes when the two Confederate people like join them, and then they drop that in favor of just, nope, ghosts are real, and it's a monster.
Knopp and I got out of this movie about 2 or 3 hours ago, and I don't even remember that much of the movie. It feels like I saw it last week.
We got out of the theater, we text Joseph back, and then we get in the car, and I say, what a boring movie. Yeah. And then we're silent for a few minutes, and then 5 minutes later, Paul is telling me about X-Men 2, which he recently rewatched. That's how fucking boring and forgettable and nothing this movie is. You were asking me its runtime, and we said an hour and a half. It's 89 minutes.
Holy fuck.
Not even an hour and a half.
Taking away credits, it's probably like 82.
Yeah. Don't pay full price for this. Not because it's lame, but because it's not a feature-length movie.
Yeah. This movie actually kind of reminds me of Sully, and that the movie's very padded for time.
Sully was also 96 minutes.
Yeah.
It was just nothing.
And it felt like 2.5 hours.
Most of the time, when movies are bad, they'll feel longer, and when they're good, they'll feel shorter. This one actually felt its length. When they got to the house at the end, I felt like, wow, I feel kind of gypped.
First part's very slow. When people say they don't like the first one, that's typically what they say. When stuff actually starts happening, you know how in the late Paranormal Activity movies, it's a lot of like, you know, jumping into the camera and like really stupid, cheap shit like that. It's nothing but that.
And if you want to talk about like slow beginnings, like Blair Witch actually used its beginning for a purpose, like building the world and the lore, and that doesn't really happen here.
All there is to do, rather than build anything, is just hit the beats of the first one.
And then you have, coincidentally, they're the two black characters who die in ways that very much could be accidents. Like a tree falls on the first guy, and the girl...
She gets like an infection in her foot.
She gets an infection in her foot.
And then like a parasite in her calf or something.
And that goes fucking nowhere. I expected so much more, but that scene was like less than a minute. It cut away when I thought holy shit, they were just getting started with that.
And this girl's foot, they're obsessed with it. They keep showing it. She was gonna get like obsessed. Or that, you know, because she wanders out of the tent, I don't feel good. I'm like, is she just gonna like become a werewolf and...
I was telling Knopp I thought she was going to become a zombie.
They played that up with the camera and where they put the webcam and the black and white.
And we're just like, I wonder where I've seen this before.
And she didn't show up on the camera. Like they were playing up that she was going to be like the zombie. And then she broke the pretty girl with the purple hair. Yeah. And you know, she was activating, and she was clearly activating all the magic powers. So like they were playing that up. But then she ends up dying because she was really stupid and climbed a tree on a bum leg and then fell.
Well, and just before she falls, it looked to me like something pushed her down.
Something did.
Top of the frame and pushed her out of the tree.
Whatever.
The ending, I felt like it was another victim of like stretching for time because it took like half an hour.
I said when they got to the house, I was like, wow, this is going to be a really ridiculously short movie.
Yeah.
And then they spent like a million years running around that boring looking house.
Did that house look, like, did the interior of it look weirdly CG to you?
Yeah, oh my god, I totally noticed that.
I did not know what to make of that. The ending of the first one is just a guy standing in the corner and then Heather dies. This turns that into Blair Witch will only kill you if you look at her. Mm-hmm. And this comes out of nowhere. This is like shouted by a character who shouldn't have had this information.
Yeah.
It's the original ending, but like tortured into like meaninglessness. The original is just kind of like, it's abrupt, and even if you don't like it
leaves an impact.
Yeah.
I kind of liked that her thing is, she'll only kill you if you look at her. I think it makes the original better a little bit. As many people who were complaining that it was boring, just as many were complaining that you never saw the witch, even though it's completely perfect that you never see the witch. It kind of turns that amazing climax into a saving of the audience and into something that's even more interactive than we didn't have the budget to have a Blair Witch.
Oh no, it would be perfectly interactive and clever if you didn't see the witch in full view multiple times. Looking, by the way,
horribly CGI. That first scene, the first time she showed up, where it was like a lightning strike and several lightning strikes, and then like the third lightning strike, she showed up. I was laughing my ass off at that. She looked so bad. I
wasn't even laughing. I couldn't get past my anger of, I can't believe they're actually doing this and like breaking that rule.
Can you imagine anything visually scary enough to live up to the Blair Witch?
Well, no. That movie is like a movie made of nothing but build-up. It is just build-up to a climax, to a jump scare that like never happens, and the movie ends here.
This movie has so many scenes that just cut off.
Yeah.
It has scene after scene after scene where it's starting to build up. I'm starting to like it. Like the scene with the parasite. I was like, oh wow, they're gonna go so many different directions with this. This is gonna be like a 5-minute twisting of the knife. Just an ordeal. And it ends after, like, nothing happens.
Yeah, she just rips it out of her leg, and she's like, oh, I feel better now.
And it cuts off.
And there's so much of that. Like, a girl's hair is put into one of the stick figures, and then that stick figure gets broken, and it's like a voodoo doll. The girl is ripped apart.
She gets fucking mangled.
Yeah, it just goes, and it's horrifying for like 2 seconds, and then it goes nowhere.
Well, you don't see her get ripped apart. and you only see her mangled body for like a split second.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that, I'm like, wow, that would have been really cool if it had been framed properly.
It's just full of concepts that kind of are introduced and then dropped.
Yeah, like the whole Confederacy thing is really it for me. It's the metaphor for the entire movie. Is they're gonna go out in the woods. 2 of the people are black. 2 of the people have the Confederate flag hung up in their house. That tension goes nowhere.
All right, last call. Knopp, how many beers would you give this director?
Adam Wingard is the guy who made You're Next, which is a brilliant film, and he should know fucking better than this. I would give him no beers for this at all.
I would also give no beers. This is a completely nothing movie for me.
No beers. I will, however, buy Troy Wagner and Joseph Delage a couple of beers each for this movie.
How many beers would you need to sit through this again?
Probably a full 5.
I would definitely need full 5 beers to sit through this again.
No, I'm a lightweight. Give me a couple. I'll go with some friends, and we'll just hate about it later.
All right then. Paul Wedding, Leopold Knopp, Rhiannon Saegert, Open Bar Review, Riprocks, Blair Witch. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.